You're mute, Karen.
I'm muted. Figure that out. Hi, Peter. How are you?
Hi. I know you're so much brighter. Ow, my desktop is camera is not as bright.
I am. I am at my mother-in-law's house, and so where I am is like a sunroom. So there's a lot of natural light. It's good, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't always
we're
have the
live.
sun.
It says only one person is watching, so um, two people are in.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, put in the chat. Hello.
Yeah, I was just about to do that too.
It is a hot day for sure.
I was telling someone I did not move to New York for the heat. I came here for cold weather. If I wanted heat, I would have stayed in the Caribbean instead of just reading about it.
Yeah, but when I'm in
Exactly.
Trelawney, I don't get this kind of heat.
Your family's from Trelawney?
My family from, but I was raised in Kingston and then Portmore.
Okay.
But when I go to Jamaica now, take me to Trelawney.
Trelawney. Where in Trelawney?
It's Wilson Run near Troy.
Okay, no, I don't know Trelawney well. I know one place called Wait a Bit. When I was a
Mm,
child, my dad used to go there. He had a friend in Wait a Bit, and I love the name. I don't know Trelawney very well.
yeah,
It's a
I
new
as a
one.
kid, I
Okay.
was not a fan of going to Trelawney every summer
Yeah,
because
I
at the
can imagine.
time you're talking no light, no no
Yeah,
water.
yeah,
And now as an adult, I absolutely love the country when I go to Jamaica. Like I love
absolutely.
every bit about it.
Yes. Because when you go to the Caribbean, I think you want a different experience from
Yes.
from your regular life.
Yes. I don't want the city life. I do not want
Right.
nothing to do with the city when I go to Jamaica. I
Yeah.
want the country life.
Yeah. I was explaining to someone that I went to Jamaica. I've been to Jamaica 3 times in the last 5 years, and none of those times have I gone to Kingston because
Yeah.
I go to
Well,
the
I
Montego
typically
Bay
stop in
Airport.
Kingston on my way to wherever I need to go, but I'm always to my family like how many days we're in Kingston for because
Yeah,
I need to be in a country where I
yeah,
could be free and it's just
yes.
country life is nice. Country life is nice.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Hey, so we have more people in.
Hi, everyone. Happy Caribathon, the last few hours of it.
I know it's been 5 years we've been doing this. This is the fifth year we've been doing this,
Number
and
5.
time has really, snuck up on us because I every time I think about it, I'm like 5 years, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
When we started Caribathon, my daughter was just a few months old. That's, I have to make associations, otherwise, time just feels like it's a non-entity. Like it's hard sometimes to keep track of how fast time flies.
Yeah. But
But
one thing I can say, I have read a lot of Caribbean book in the last 5 years, and
yes,
and I've been
absolutely.
actively looking for older Caribbean books that I've
Yes.
never heard of, and I'm so glad that this kind of pushed me to even read more about different culture in the Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is perfect for this book,
Mm-hmm.
The Village Weavers by
The
Myriam
Village Weavers. We should take a
J.A. Chancy,
screenshot.
because you get Caribbean in this. This is
Yes.
very Haitian. It is very much Caribbean. And when we are on the topic of that, there's a part in this where I love where it's that connection when Cece was trying to cook food and different things that her husband and her child
Mhm.
couldn't enjoy, and
Yes.
they didn't appreciate it like how she appreciated it. And I was like, that's how I feel sometimes. Like when I go certain place, I want to taste my culture still in the food, and I still want to have some form of connection to my island, even though I live here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. one one other thing from this book with the food is the comparison between the Haitian representation and the Dominican Republic representation. How a lot of the things are the same thing, but they're called different things. Obviously, they're different languages.
Mm-hmm.
Haitians speak French Creole, and in Dominican Republic they speak Spanish. So, oh, one second. Father okay. For Gran. All right. Say hi, and then you could go. Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Okay. All right. Go back and stay with Daddy. Okay. All right. Thank you. Ready? Yes. Yay. But the comparison between the different ways that we refer to something, I think it's in the like around page 300, like a few pages.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where they're talking
like over time the flavor changes and all that. Yes, that part.
And I remember they were talking about empanadas and how one person calls it empanada and the other one calls it something, and then they use the word like pate.
Yeah.
But in Jamaica,
you know what she meant. But then she did say at some point it is not the same.
It's not
because
everybody puts their
culture adds something to it to change the flavor that is not the same.
Yeah, one person bakes it, another one fries it, and you end up with two different dishes.
Yes.
But yeah, I see your comment. They're crazy for not wanting flavorful food, but sandwiches or whatnot. Some people were raised with the flavor. It's a little intimidating.
Yeah. And you know what's so crazy? I never had cold sandwich till I moved here. I didn't grow up with cold sandwich in Jamaica. But I love a good turkey sandwich. But growing up, I didn't experience any of that.
Same.
As much as we're a warm country, we like our food warm. We're not big on cold food.
I know. Thinking back to like my first couple of years in the United States, man, and go to the deli and get a cold cut sandwich. Like, what do you mean if I want it warmed up? Like, what other option is there? Oh, but it's lovely to reflect on some of the differences and similarities in places. But this book, there were so many places in this book where it just made me think about the taste of the food, like her representation, her description. You could see it, but also like you could taste it. Like I haven't eaten a lot of Haitian food because
I have.
I have. It's a different.
Yeah, it's. I think I had, and it's gonna sound bad, but I had this idea that the food wasn't going to be good.
Yeah,
and that's a lie. Haitian food is good.
What have you had?
Haitian has like a black rice, but you just can't eat too much of it because it is kind of greasy. It is
okay. Yeah, I've seen
it. But I think that's what makes it taste so good. It's addicting. I can literally sit there and eat a plate of only black rice.
Really? Okay.
Yes. They also have a soup that they do for their Independent Day, which is usually January 1st. And I have a friend who's Haitian, so we all, and a bunch of us, most of us are not even Haitian at all, and we're there on the 1st at her house with our container for the soup. It's I don't know what it's called, but it's very, very flavorful and it's really good. And she makes it in different ways, but it's really good. They have a seasoned rice that's really good as well. They like the chicken that they use are similar to what we would use in the country in Jamaica to cook our food in. So that also makes the flavor of the chicken taste very, very good.
Yeah, I think the soup you're referring to is the soup jumu. It's on page 290. She was talking about comparing it to the Dominican sancocho. Here it is, Alba. Alba can send us some of this, I think. But I have heard about that similarity / difference between the soup and the sancocho.
Yeah, it's really good. And there's a bunch of other stuff that she will cook and I indulge in it. I don't know. Haitian food is good. I mean, it's not really nice on your waistline, but The food is good. The food tastes very good.
Hi everyone. I can't
Hi.
see how many people or who is here. Um,
Let's see. It's
you
it's
know.
about 12 people in here right now.
Okay,
So
now I'm seeing the chat. I wasn't on
we have a good
before.
bit. You should see it on the top. It should say where
I
it says
see it. I
live. It
see it
should
now.
say.
Seeing it before.
Mm-hmm.
D, what is your background, D? Um, Fatima. Hi everyone. Bemi.
Do we have any Haitian in the chat at the
That's
moment?
what I was trying to figure out. D's last name sounds French. I was wondering.
So we have a Nigerian. We have Alba, which is from Puerto Rico.
Hmm.
D, where are
Okay.
you from? Her husband's Nigerian, but oh, she's
Yeah.
American.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. For those of
So
you who don't know, I'm
let's yeah,
Jamaican.
let's start how with the book. Let's start
Yeah.
out with how it just started out with the grandmother and the grandmother speaking to her. And
Hmm.
what I liked about how it started off, you knew it's gonna be family. You knew it's gonna be a
Hmm.
family situation. But you didn't know how much of a family situation was gonna be. But it did start out with the grandmother giving her
Yes.
some wisdom and speaking to her in a way that I was very much appreciative because I love that
Yes.
part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Same here. I love the fact. I love seeing adults talking to the children in ways that the child is intrigued and giving them some history, but also not giving them the full story. I like that
Mm-hmm.
because it seems like a story that you understand better as you grow,
Mm-hmm.
as the story becomes a part of you, you understand what the grandmother was saying. So she tells her enough to intrigue
Yeah.
her about the Simbi, but she doesn't even whether or not she was the child who was taken by the Simbi. There's still like a little bit of open-endedness to
Mm-hmm.
that because it's one of those stories that it's almost like you don't need to know if it is her or not. It's intriguing either way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I love that's the opening where we get the one generation talking to the next or the
Mm-hmm.
next,
Mm-hmm.
because even in that the mother I love discussions mother daughters, but
Mm-hmm.
grandmother daughter is also really really intriguing.
Yes, yes. I think because oftentimes the mothers are somewhat still learning, whereas the
Yeah, yeah.
grandmother have experienced it, that been there, done
Yes,
that
yes.
knowledge that they can drop on
Mm,
their children, versus the mother is still going through the whole idea of even being a mother and still learning from things. So I think that's why it's more important when grandmother drop, the knowledge.
absolutely.
I really like that. And I liked how when you do get introduced to the two sisters as friends, you get to see how differently they are raised. You have Cece, who's considered the more, her she's going to poverty. Her mother selling, making clothes and trying to live off of that. The grandmother is still doing her thing, but somewhat happy. There's that time she get to spend with them and she feel connected to them. That Gertie, who is like affluent, is the wealthy side, or her parents have it, and she's on the high society kind of thing. And that moment when she do visit her CC house, and she's felt like this is the happiest she's ever felt.
Hmm.
And I like that it shows that's because oftentimes people think when you grew up in sort of poverty that you automatically are miserable and unhappy. And a lot of kids don't even realize they're poor, because sometimes that household can have so much love in it that they don't feel that kind of that sadness of feeling of being poor. But it all changed as well too when she went to school, and the hand me down. But I still like the fact that her mother sprinkle it by saying little things to make her feel like there's nothing wrong with hand me down. She put a little nice touch on the second hand clothes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's still hard for her to go through what other people see and and say to her in school. So I like that part of how the story starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's what's intriguing about that is that while the two families are so connected, the mothers, who in a lot of ways are the leaders of those families, at least the leaders of the children, they have to be removed because the father is the link between these two families, and raising these two sets of children they're linked, but we can't let them know, at least then. There's some separation that has to happen, even with the similarities. So it's one of those things that's, I'm sure, is really complex to experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if someone who's external, like we're reading the story, if we could truly grasp it.
The interesting part about reading this story is it happens too often.
Mommy, I need water.
Okay, your water bottle is in my bag.
Yeah, it happens too often. So oftentimes you will find, I know of people included in my family where they are hanging out next door to each other and they're related, same father. I have two siblings that didn't even know of my father, that they shared the same father until high school. And there's an interesting story behind that one that up to this day I find very funny, but also very sad. Oftentimes the women, I think there's a bit of shame, there's a bit of embarrassment, so they don't talk. They know. They absolutely know, but they don't talk. They don't share what they what's going on, and the fact that, think about the mother for Cece. She was entertaining him once a week. Once a week she was entertaining him, and the grandmother wasn't having it. She wouldn't leave her room. She wouldn't come and eat with them, and she would not entertain the madness. So there's a lot of where, come on, people know, people in the community know, but there's that, not my business, we're not going to talk about it. And that's that embarrassment that we're just not going to talk about it. But I do find him very much wrong in so many ways. That hospital scene, and he needs all his offspring there. I was like, no, he did not. His trifling self. I want to get all the kids together before he dies. So, we
talked about it in one of the check-in videos that I did on YouTube this week. It's the same thing that, and I don't know how you pronounce her name, if it's Andre. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing that Andre does. Yes. She wants to right her wrongs, but she doesn't want to deal with the fallout of her making right. Yes. So she writes she writes Cece into the obituary.
Yeah.
She could have
ultimate disrespect.
Other time in her life, she waits until when it is published, she's already passed. She doesn't have to deal with it. So she's going to do it, but not have to deal with the regret. And there's this scene where Gertie comes to, oppose this action. And she's like, aren't you going to have regrets? And she's like, what regrets? I will be here. And it's the same thing that the father does, like father, like child, right?
Yeah.
So the papa calls,
get all my kids in here.
They don't know that they're your kids.
and there's some point, I forgot what we're at, where they estimate is 13. 13 kids. So there's that 13 these other kids that they never know, never get to know them. And it's sad, but like I was saying, absolutely on each and every island. It is very common. It is very common and sad. Very sad.
But, in a lot of ways, I don't want to blame victims. I don't want to blame women. But these men, they're allowed to do it. In some of these cases, they're allowed to do it because the same way the mother, like Cece's mother, knows that he's married, right? She knows that he is married to this other lady and that he has this family. But she is helping him to keep up this pretense, like he's what, a traveling salesman, traveling businessman. He only has one night per week to be here. If he's at her house one night and he's at his family house, his wife's house one night, where is he the other 5 nights? Does he have 5 other families that he's cycling between? Like,
well, we know at this point because 13 kids.
So,
he's never home. Both daughters say he was never home.
He never there.
he's never there. So clearly he was doing that. Yeah. And it's sad how they were just, it was like he dropped the bomb and then he died, nothing, out of it.
They were enabling him. The mother, the wives, they were enabling him. There's even the scene where Gertie is sick. She's fainted, and he takes her from her actual house, brings her to stay at Cece's mother's house so he could go be somewhere else. Like, where do you have to go, sir? Where are you going?
Exactly.
You can't leave your child here. Are you crazy?
I mean, and bright. It was bright. It was bright and it was fierce.
Sorry, this is your child. Because what happened if something take a turn for the worse with this child? How you to her mother that, she got worse while she was at his other woman's house.
Especially since I'm sure she's aware of each other. They didn't say it, but I'm pretty sure they probably aware of each other.
No, because even what you call her, Mama and the Gertie's mother, there's a lot of pretense in her.
Yes, because you got to keep up appearance, high society life. You got to keep up. That's what they do on that side of the family. It is very, and think about the reason why they believe that she married him in the first place, because he was light skinned. So let's get the kids not to be dark.
I feel like there's a song that I should be playing. Something about some light skinned man. Like the things that they allow some of these light skinned men to do because you want the children to have color. Come on, like seriously, get it together. She had money, like she could have married anybody. Marry this.
But again, she married him for that. Maybe the pickings were small. The pickings were small. And I think about it too. She probably couldn't marry anybody she wanted. There probably was like a little bit of something that he brought to the table that makes him like, okay, you gonna marry him, because he didn't have the money.
Yeah, I think he had the name, so his name probably had a little status, even though he didn't have any money. Because wasn't his father? Some part of his family was Spanish.
I mean, I think there's a little bit of money from the great grandmother passing down, and I think maybe she was making money, so there's some kind of wealth that went on from generation to generation, but not on the level of his wife.
Yeah, she had serious money, but he had. I think he probably more likely he had the name, the Spaniard name. Like, okay, prestige, but some of that prestige come with nothing but bad behavior. Oh, Bemi said he probably had a night for each family. Yeah, sister wives. I don't know. Oh, Alba said, I love how the reader gets the hint from Cece's dimple, like the father's dimple. Yeah. These hints, these little breadcrumbs that were being thrown from the beginning.
Yes, because this was my second read. So when I'm reading the second time, there's little things that I'm like, oh, they were giving us clues from the get-go that I didn't really pay attention to. And I'm like, it's there. And, I think oftentimes we wouldn't catch that. I think a normal person wouldn't catch that. And especially if you put your father in a certain kind of respect where you wouldn't think that would happen. So I don't think anybody would ever caught on to that. Like, wait a minute, we kind of look alike, but not really.
As an adult, maybe, but remember they're really young. They're 7 when they find out. I think at that point, everybody you think looks like your father. Like my
Mm-hmm.
daughter, she's 4. Every man that walks by, she said, "Oh, he looks like daddy." If he wearing
Mm-hmm.
glasses, "Oh, he look like daddy."
Mm-hmm.
So, you see somebody who has a dimple. Oh, her dimple looks like daddy's dimple. But there's just no way, there's no place in your mind that you could have a sister, because in your mind, your sister lives in your house. So she knows Margie is her sister. She has no clue that this other girl who's her friend from school could
That
be.
she's bonding with. Think about,
Yeah,
this is like a different friendship. This is somebody for the first time. They have this connection where, it's like they don't feel alone, because there are moments when they can feel alone, especially Gertie. Gertie
hmm
can feel very alone because within our family she does feel like the outsider. And so to connect with someone, and then to be, in a circumstance where you can't even be friends with the person you connect to after the secret is
hmm
exposed.
hmm
That's heartbreaking. And I felt for her, and I felt for the struggles that they have over the years because of that,
yeah,
and I think sometimes people don't realize, or people don't really think that how much an incident from when you were a child can carry you through all your life, that you never quite get over, and it
yeah,
dictate what you do as an adult.
yeah,
And you see this in this story.
yeah, yeah. Because in a lot of ways, in a lot of ways, the trauma that Gertie suffers in her family is probably worse than anything that happens to her as an adult.
Yeah.
Her finding out about her father's infidelity, that's a
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge thing. you know Not feeling valued by him because she's being shuffled between the two households, and she's not really sure why. There are lots of siblings, and nobody's really
Yeah.
affectionate with her, to the point
Yeah.
where her mother calls her. And I have to tell you, if I had just read the La Negrita, and I'm sorry if it's an offense, like if it's really derogatory, I don't know, but in my mind, I'm just translating it as a feminine version of Negro, and I don't know
Mm-hmm.
that it would be, complete. I didn't realize that it would be so derogatory, but the fact that
Mm-hmm.
the mother calls her own child that, she's referring to her child. She can't find her, and that's how she describes her. Not the clothes that she's wearing, not anything else. Like, her only description of her is that she's a
Yeah.
little dark skin, or the little, you know, or worse description, a little dark one. Like,
But there's also no protection. What about when she went to DR, and they all thought she was some kind of worker's child,
yeah,
and there's no one. Every situation she's been in where she's experienced that, there's no one in the family to protect her. No one to say, hey, don't do that or don't say that. It's kind of like, that's what you are. Accept it.
yeah. When they're traveling, she's traveling with the maid because I don't. I'm sure it's traumatizing as a child to feel
Mm-hmm.
singled out. It's not like she's an only child. She has other siblings who they treat her that way. The adults treat her that way. How does a child grow up without that as a complex?
Yeah. And it shows, because there are moments in the book where she's saying the right things, but then she's doing
Yeah,
what they already have in her brain to think.
yeah,
And you see that in cases when she got older,
yeah.
and the
When she
situation
meets
was happening,
Manuel,
and she never defend. It was
yeah.
never she allowed her brother to talk crazy, she allowed her sisters,
Mhm,
and she accepted without really realizing she accepted. She
mhm,
just thought by being quiet and not
mhm.
saying anything that it was okay.
Yeah, because that's how she socialized. And you don't always recognize how you're socialized until you come out of that. But, she stayed within that family circle, never coming out of it.
Hmm.
Ah, man, that was that's some big stuff.
Yeah, that was some heavy stuff. And the sad part is not uncommon. It's I think colorism is a very heavy thing in the Caribbean. And that's, I think I saw a comment someone said it is in America, you experience more the racism, but in the Caribbean So you're not really seeing racism, but you're seeing the colorism, and that is just as painful. And that's where you got identity issue. That's where you got opportunity, where people feel like if you are not light enough, you may not get an opportunity for certain jobs and certain in certain areas. You just won't see it. And this book really touched on that. But it's sad. It is a sad thing to think of that this is reality. It's a fiction book, but it's very much a reality. The relationship between a lot of DR and Haitian is very heavy.
Yes, yes.
And up to this day it is. And oftentimes there's people who are very light skinned Haitian, and automatically it's that, are you sure you're Haitian because you're light skinned? That's that idea that's not, you still experience that, and vice versa, And it's sad because at the end of the day, the struggle is still a struggle. There's still an issue of poverty. There's still an issue of wanting to survive in your family. And it's sad that when in this book, I never really realized how much of the 50s and in the 40s of the political issue that was happening in Haiti, and how living with that. So it's like these two individuals are struggling with their family drama, and then having to deal with as well as what was happening in their country. So now you don't feel like you belong in your family, but you also don't belong in your country.
Right.
And there's that escape, there's that getting away. I do like the friendship that was happening with Lou and Odell, and when they were going through the struggle of all hell breaking loose in Haiti, and the backstory with each of them, and how Cece had to get to the point where she could not fight that no more. She wanted to escape. She didn't want to live. She was there for the cause, but she doesn't want to live that anymore. And I thought that was an interesting part of the story, that how when you think of people who just decide they want to leave, they want to get away, and then it doesn't mean that they don't want to fight. It's just tired, and you get that why she just was like, I can't constantly worry about my safety, worry about someone else's safety.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. And you see where she made that decision to marry this man.
And even when she leaves the country, she leaves the country as a young woman, when she takes Timo to go meet up with Margie.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother dying is, I guess, the propeller. It allows her to leave at that point,
Mm-hmm.
without having any physical harm come to her or to her nephew. She's like, okay, listen, we're leaving. But there is so much uncertainty in that whole fight for, I don't even know what they're fighting for, in that whole revolutionary period,
Mm-hmm.
because, like she was mentioning, they see people who have died. Bodies are just strewn in the street. She's taking her nephew to school, and they're just
Mm-hmm.
walking past corpses in the street. And that's heartbreaking, because those are people, maybe your neighbors, people their family members are coming, but at least there's a body. In a lot of cases, people are just disappearing. There is so much uncertainty whether they're alive. Most times you figure they're not after a certain period, but there's absolutely no closure. There's no way to actually know whether or not the family member is gone. You just have to assume that you'll never see them again.
Yep.
And which is worse? You don't know. They're all terrible. But she's like, okay, listen, I got to get out of here.
Yep.
There's some
Yeah.
points
Yeah,
where
I can't live like this.
can everybody stay and make a difference? Maybe, but maybe not. And so she had to leave. She had to leave. Otherwise, maybe the story would have ended there.
I think her, when it comes to relationship, I felt bad for her because I don't think she's ever like lived within a loving situation. The marriage was not real. It's something she just accepted, and she even admitted she's never loved him on the level of Lou. But then you don't know if that was even going to work, because that's not something she's was willing to try. So I feel like she was comfortable, and she just, this is life. It made me sad, because I'm like, with me, this is just life, like,
C'est la vie.
you know.
In a lot of ways, the relationship saves her, because
Mhm.
it gave her some stability.
Yes.
Marry the rich white man, because we know he's rich. He was bankrolling the Algerian Revolution, um, um,
Ah.
but so it gave her some stability. It gave her a place to move forward,
Mhm.
because at I wonder what would have happened if she hadn't met Scott,
Yeah. Who
because
knows?
she couldn't have stayed with Lou and what's her name, Samia.
They're eventually they probably got arrested.
She couldn't have stayed there for too long.
Something.
So she was able to move forward with her life, and sometimes maybe that's the more mature acceptance of life.
Mhm.
And like, okay, listen, maybe the great romance was earlier. It was with someone who couldn't have had this relationship with, but move forward.
Move
And
forward.
you get a
Yeah,
different,
it's still a bit. I felt like a little sad for her. Like, oh
yeah.
man. Versus, Gertie, she got a man that was able to open her eyes, and
Oh, I like
make her,
that. Well, I
you
liked
know,
it.
because even with Cece, there's a part where, remember, she didn't have the kid. It was more like, and she was so glad that she wasn't be. She was, it made me feel like, wait a minute, what is going on with her mentally? Because she was just like, oh, and the day when she realized she ain't never gonna be able to have, she was fine with that. But she adopted a child, but she was fine not having kids. I was like, wait a minute.
No.
No, she was messed up. She was very much messed up. The only thing that I was happy for is the fact that she followed her career path and did the
Yes.
illustration stuff.
Yes.
And that's something she really wanted to do. And she was able to do it.
Again,
And
because she bankrolled the wealthy man. You
yep.
know how many people, if I had $1 for every person I have heard of who wanted to pursue a career in art and was unable to, because either the family said, well, you listen, art's not going to pay your bills. You need to
Mhm.
find something else to do. Go to college, go be a teacher, or listen, I love teachers. This is not a knock on teachers. Most of
Mhm.
my family members are teachers. But I'm just saying, most times you hear people want to be an artist. They're like, nah.
Mhm.
Singer, nah. To
Yeah.
draw, nobody gonna pay you to draw people.
Yep.
But she actually could make life
Yes.
as an artist, as an illustrator. Like, that's most.
I was happy for that. I was like, she got
Yes.
something. She got something, because everything else was like whatever.
Until you gotta go be an accountant.
Yeah.
No, I want to be an artist. Listen, art, or you tell you want to join a band. Are you crazy? Oh man.
Yep.
My parents wanted me to go to teachers college. Maybe that's why I'm not gonna put that in there. Like,
Oh
nope,
Lord.
not going. My mom's a teacher, my dad's a teacher,
Oh wow.
everybody's in my family's a teacher. It's like, no, not going. I should have gone. As an older person, as I've gotten older, I have realized I should have gone, but that's another story for a different time. But I love this book. I love Manuel.
Yes.
When Manuel came on, I really admired how
Yes.
I like how he got Gertie to the point where she could acknowledge some changes that she had to make,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't force her to make them. He gave her the distance to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what she wanted to do, and then come on back if you so choose. He wrote this letter. I love when men write letters.
Oh, me too. It was nice.
I'm gonna be here, and if you want to meet me, come on by. So she wrote that character for me. I love.
Yeah, I like that. I love like the roots when they did go to DR and explaining so much and so much knowledge that she didn't have. And I thought that was really nice in the story. Because not everyone is the enemy. Not everyone is negative. There's some positive people who are just accepting a certain thing. Is the comment section working?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was
That's
trying
why
to
I,
figure it
that's
out.
yeah, that's why I put that dot, because I was like, it was going, and then somebody make a comment so I know it's working, because I'm a little bit wondering why it's stalled.
Mommy is on duty all the time. Okay, but let me see if she's still here. All right. Yeah, I was
Okay.
watching. I couldn't see
Okay,
any
so it is working.
in the comments. Yes.
Keep the comments going. I wanna. I'm listening and doing dishes. Okay.
I do that too. I put on
Yeah.
some podcast
Um.
working. What I liked about when she went out with Manuel and they met the couple,
Mhm, mhm.
Iris, I'm not sure how her name
Yeah,
is
I'm
pronounced.
not exact. Yeah.
And there's some heartbreaking it's not even moments because they had happened before, like remembrances
Mhm.
when she was telling about her husband. What's Iris's husband's name? When he traveled and they took his papers because they're like,
Oh yeah, and rip it out.
who would I'm like, you took the man's papers, like, you can't travel without papers, and I have my papers, and you take them and rip them up,
Yeah,
like,
it's that belief, like, why would you want to go to Haiti? Why are you going over there?
like,
There was a
okay.
lot of that happening. Like, why do you want to go over there? There's at that time, there was so much, distaste about even stepping foot into that island, that it was like, who are you, kind of deal. And you think about it, it happened again. Well, this was the 70s when Cece was there first, and even though she was looking like she could be Dominican, the fact that she was very proud of being Haitian, and she kept saying, I'm Haitian, and they didn't like that, and she can't stay at their hotel. That was like sad, but also it I think it made her once again feeling rejected.
That was a very moving scene, because she's coming there with her family. Her husband's not from here, her child is not
Hmm.
from here. And imagine that this is a reception that she gets, or
Yep.
not, lack of reception, as the case might be, where they look at her papers and say, no, we don't have room for you. You could try that hotel down there and come back in a few days. I'm like, what? You can't do that. She has a reservation.
Hmm.
But the idea that that kind of stuff could happen and does happen to people, like,
Hmm.
why? But it
Yeah.
happens.
But it I get why Gertie wanted to meet up in DR, because of the whole, she wanted to show her roots that was on that side. Versus, I guess, Haiti at the time was probably not a place to really meet up. But at the same time, I think it was for their first meetup, that wasn't it.
Yeah, there's a lot of too much background. You
Yeah,
wanted
there was too much.
the light
To
and
me, it
character.
was like she packed on trauma on top of
Yeah.
trauma with that.
Yeah. Well, that meeting was probably just going to be heavy regardless. So
Hmm. So what, just knock her out?
the hotel sets the scene. So
Just knock. I know that was sad though. I was like, see, that's how I knew, like, Cece was definitely not a confrontational person, because mine, I would have packed my bag and be like, we
yes,
out.
yes, I was thinking the
We
same
out.
thing. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna take their recommendation and just go to the hotel down the road. Like, dude, you have to find a place for me. You understand?
Right?
Roll out a cot right here, but I ain't leaving. Sir, I ain't leaving, okay? Oh, Alba says she's not there yet. Alba, sorry, we spoiling.
I but still read it, darling. Just still read it, okay?
I'm spoiling.
But
I'm not
it's a lot of
spoiling.
spoiler
I'm
going
not
on
gonna
here.
tell you how it ends. But
I
yeah,
would say the ending was very sad. I had a little teary the second time. I still felt so sad.
yeah.
It's beautiful and sad at the same time.
Yeah, it's one of those books that it doesn't matter if you know how it's going to end. It
Mm-hmm.
is completely worth the read. She
Mm-hmm.
packs so much into these 330 pages.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of history. It's not historical fiction because she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't necessarily focus on any one event, but she includes all of the history of the DR and Haiti, um, and their relationship between the two places.
Mm-hmm.
It comes in, it's a part of the narrative, it's a part of the background, but she doesn't focus on it. She focuses on how the characters lives are impacted by the things that happen. So
Mm-hmm.
it's history, and it's fiction, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
historical fiction.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so
Yeah,
well.
because it had me like looking up certain things because oftentimes when I first started reading, I talked about there's parts of this that I don't know a lot of history
Yeah,
behind.
yeah,
Because we typically focus on the revolution and we focus on even the 90s of all the people fleeing in boats and stuff. But yeah, that part pissed me off for the brother when he mentioned the boat people.
oh yeah.
I was like, at first I was like, no, he did not just say that. Like that was worth a slap. Okay.
Well, listen, these are not people who are very tactful. Let's just start there. They don't care what you think. They don't care how what they say affects you. I know some people like that. But yeah, I was going to ask you to pin that comment from Alba.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I want to read more about this, the Trujillo dictatorship. Um, what's her name now? Who writes about it? Um, Julia Alvarez. Is it Julia Alvarez?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with.
The In the Time of the Butterflies. Isn't that Dominican? Alba, you could correct me. I think so.
Yeah.
I want to
Oh,
read
Alba, your mother is
more
Dominican.
about this. Yeah, Alba. I tell you, Alba has the
Okay,
insight.
Alba, you're multicultural.
Yeah, yeah. I get a lot of my Caribbean inspiration from Alba. Yeah, there's a section in here where somebody says, like, didn't they all, I think it was Manuel, where he said, no, I'll start off as one country. Like, I don't know too much about the separation, like what caused the separation between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Was it just how the Europeans
In the
separated?
Times of Butterfly, do I need to read this?
Yeah, yeah, it's Julia Alvarez.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if someone can speak to that, I will look it up at some point, but I don't necessarily know the history of the origins of the separation of the countries. Um,
Yeah, I don't know either.
but the
But
fact that they
I
speak these
there's
different
that
languages, we know it's
there's a lot of
European
roots there
influence.
because I grew up
Yeah.
with a friend who's Dominican, and even within her culture is there's a lot of things that she grew up with that she just didn't like, and she would talk about it.
Hmm.
But it's sad. But there's so many of them who are very much related. Um, there's Haitian with DR roots, and there are DR people with Asian roots, but sometimes they don't even acknowledge it.
Yeah. But remember that section where the author talks about the Trujillo murdering the people who had come over as these farm workers. I think they came as cane cutters,
Hmm.
and they were just killing them instead of sending them home. And I was like, why are you doing that, sir? Why?
Yep.
What were they? What did they accomplish by doing that? Aside from not having to pay them, of course, but it's not just because they're offensive. Like, it's not, at this point, it's not racial prejudice. It's just pure hate for people
Yeah. I
from.
still don't know why there's such a hate between the islands. I really don't know. And it can't just be color only. It has to be more than that.
It has to stem from some European influence. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna come back and talk about it. We're gonna uncover the roots of
Hmm.
the Hispaniola island. But yeah, Mario Vargas Llosa wrote a novel about Trujillo also, Alba. Um, which one is that? Is that The Feast of the Goat? That's the only novel I know from him, and I haven't read it
That's an
yet.
interesting title.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's. I think I own that book. I own a lot of books. I don't know where all of my books are, or at least I know where they are. Just don't know where to find them because they're all turned in. One of these days we'll come back to that. But yeah, I really love this book. So what do you think about the title, The Village Weavers?
Mm-hmm.
Um, what do you think about the title?
Um, I like the title. I think I don't I wrote it down somewhere that what the village weaver is, but
The Weaver Bird.
there you go. And I do like that the dreams,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
because they're very symbolic. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's that part where Gertie was pregnant
Mm-hmm.
and she having these reoccurring dreams and she's waking up and not wanting that blood, but you know it symbolizes something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I like this where there's certain things that's happening in the story that keeps evolving and keep going around, but it comes back to the same thing. But
Yeah. Yeah, the author does that with the timelines as well. Like
mhm,
we circle back, it's kind of like a pool and it's circling. And there's this locus, this middle of the like the vortex, these things that happen in the beginning when they're seven and Gertie and Cece become friends and they find out that they have the same father and all the things that are happening, no matter how far out they go, it just keeps kind of pulling them back to the center and it just keeps circling around it. It's really interesting, but it's not repetitive because every time we circle, we get a little
mhm.
bit more insight, a little bit more information. It's like it deepens. the the pool itself is deepening. Um, but it's lovely. Like she does a really good job with it
Yeah,
because
I do like the back and forth, but
yeah,
it didn't like sometimes we have the back and forth that they can an author can lose you and like
yeah,
what?
yeah, absolutely. But it didn't happen with this
Yeah, it
because
didn't.
we are so connected to these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could see the similarities and the differences in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
You see their connection, even no matter how far they try to push apart. Like they all have sisters, they both have sisters who are trying to keep them,
Mm-hmm.
and like even when is it Gertie trying to run into Margie in the supermarket and Margie
Mm-hmm.
knows that she doing it on purpose. It's like,
Yeah.
listen, I shop here. You don't shop here. What are you doing here? um,
How about I really like Margie. I really like her sister in this. I thought she was strong, and
yeah.
I thought it's there's that unfairness, especially when she was the school and they were talking about where's your father and all of that, and she's like, her father is no longer alive. What do you mean, where's her father? And how she handled it in a circumstance like that, I thought that shows what kind of sister she was, and she was very protective of see, she's like
Mhm.
stay away, she didn't want her to be around them because she
Yeah.
know how harmful and the words that can come out their mouth and how much it can hurt, and she didn't want her to experience that. um but it also, the dream of leaving and going away and then she has to come back and back to her mom having to help her support her with a kid. There's that part too that I do like that they showed her.
Mhm.
And have a difference again. It shows how much Cece really had a strong family bond compared to Gertie, because Gertie's sister probably couldn't care less what happened to her.
There's a superficial nature to that Alcindor family, and like all of them, they just couldn't escape the mother, the daughter, the sisters. um and there's a point where I couldn't keep track of which one was which one, and I was like, I don't even care. Like Fidelia, she and I
I like
started,
none of them sisters.
yeah, I
Not
wonder if
one.
she was making like connections between other people, like
Hmm.
other names from Caribbean history, Fidelia.
Hmm.
But I was like, listen, I don't care about these people. They're mean.
Very mean. To the end. To the woman is on her deathbed. Her deathbed, and she still was being mean.
Yeah,
Don't care. And
they
it's that saying when was it
that's
when
their
she when Gertie finally like put her foot down and said how wrong it is, and she's like, it's like, okay, I'm gonna die anyway, what does it matter? That's
yeah,
the kind of attitude she had, like
yeah.
that, like that's not my problem, you deal with that. I was
You
like,
deal with it.
whoa. Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I do, and you
Yep.
deal with the fallout. Like, okay, that's what you want the last action to be. Alba said the last place she would have expected Cece to be in her 60s is Phoenix. Like, yeah, like, as far away from her beginnings as she
Yep.
could be, and still be on the same planet, right?
Yep.
Or the same continent, not the same planet, because she could have gone to Australia.
Hmm.
Where? Tell me the name again. Was it Ezzy? Ezzy said she's from. I say she. Ezzy was saying hi from Australia. Ezzy E.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello
Me
from
too.
Australia. So she could have landed there. Um, that would be far away. Hi, Ezzy. Is it night in Australia right now? I feel like I should know this. And it's cold there too, right? It is winter months in Australia. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, going to Arizona
She needed
in
peace of mind. She needed
yeah.
peace of mind, and I think that's what she did. She needed peace of mind. And sometimes the place that you think you want to be is not where your heart tell you to go. She needed peace of mind. She had to let that man go, and she needed peace of mind.
Yeah. And I also really appreciated the fact that she was an older character.
Yes.
I think some things you can only deal with when there's some age and maturity
Mm-hmm.
um, added to the mix. Those are not conversations that she was prepared to have when she was in her 20s or 30s or
Nope.
40s. But as she got older, like, okay, I could do this. I could do this now.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that. I
yeah,
like the honesty they had at the end. I like that she disclosed how she felt, the whole situation with Lou, the whole situation with each of them accepting why she didn't accept her daughter's situation too. And the miscommunication they had in certain ways, because they have similar feelings about stuff, but there was no communication, so they couldn't even realize how much they feel about certain things. But I like that it was just that I think Cece left when she left her knowing that she said everything and cleared the air, and was somewhat at peace at the end when you know that situation happened. I think she swallowed it much better than if that didn't happen at all.
yeah.
And
You know,
because it's not, it sucks living with regrets, and I'm telling you because I'm living with it now. And that part I appreciate, because I didn't get that with my father, that whole conversation. And I think when I read that part of the book, it just made me feel good, because at the end of the day they had that conversation. They had that conversation. And it made me sad. I was like, but this was so good at the same time. And also with even Caribbean books, if you when you think of family stories, there's often times where people don't talk. There's that going on, and as life goes on, and living with something that you just didn't discuss with that family member. And it's I see it because a lot of the books that I chose this year were family secrets and family things, and a lot of it is communication, the lack of communication. Regardless if you're angry with a person, disappointed, it's just not shared. It's just like it's balled up and it's just staying the person, and they never discuss it, and they just think life goes on. But as you can see in the story, life don't go on, because it's still something that is affecting you regardless of how many years and decades goes by. And
yeah.
yeah, and I love how it's discussed. It's
Mm-hmm.
discussed at the end. And I think, when you think of books like this, people want that dramatic thing, that dramatic ending, that dramatic. And this didn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to have that click, because that's all they wanted. And they got that understanding at the end, which makes the story even more um, beautiful. Harsh, yes, but also beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as you're saying, what you lose sometimes when you don't communicate, you lose time, and time is not something that you can get back,
Yep.
because sometimes opportunity is lost
Hmm.
forever. And you out of touch with that person for whatever reason, and you can no longer have that conversation. As hard as it is, sometimes you just have to muscle through and
Yep.
sit
What's it
and do
through?
it.
And no matter how painful you think it is,
Yeah.
or you don't even know what you're going to react to, because you don't know what you're going to get, and there's that fear of being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And
sometimes
sometimes you
sometimes
need
you just
to.
have to talk, like even in the family dynamics, you see Gertie keeping her family away from
Hmm.
like events with her sisters and their
Hmm.
family because of the unpredictability. She's not sure what they're going to say or what they're going to
Yeah.
do. And you're like, but that's his extended family. That's your
Hmm.
daughter's family. Like, you keeping them away means that they don't actually get to know them.
Hmm.
Because, sometimes even when you have a difficult relationship with someone,
Hmm.
they could probably relate to your child or the children around you. They could relate to the next generation in different ways, so they could have their own relationship. But because of animosity or differences
Hmm.
between us, I
I
keep them.
think I think also she didn't know how to fight back yet, because you realize at the end how she was able to say that she put her foot down and was coming back at them, and when they came at her, but it took years for her to get to that point. So I think because she herself didn't know how to deal with her siblings when they're nasty to her, felt protective of her family,
Yeah.
at the end. So I understood her, why she didn't want them around, why she didn't want her daughter around them. Maybe even so, remember, she learned over time that she picked up some of the things that they believe. Maybe she didn't want her child to grow up
Yeah.
believing the things that they say and how they feel. And also protected even of her husband. You think about what he might have went off on them. I don't know if that man would have sit there and take it.
Just to run her hand through his hair and say, "Ooh, what's this?" I don't know what she said because it was more Creole. I'm not sure, but she
Yeah, I
was like,
do like that, how her daughter kept in communication with Cece. I like that part. They
"Oh
they
my,
still was talking, even though their mothers weren't talking. The kids were
yeah,
still talking. I
yeah,
like that.
yeah." A good book. It's a great book. I got
Yeah.
this from the library, but I
Uh-huh.
think I want to own my own copy.
Yeah.
We'll go
I
in.
It's my second book for Miriam, and let
Yes,
me tell you,
yeah.
I still
Storm Watch Thunder was fantastic.
oh, oh, that was a fantastic book. So I knew this was going to be good as well. And I find that this book is, I mean, she really gives you Caribbean. She really make you feel like you're there in Haiti when you're reading this.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the beautiful thing about Caribbean writers, who make you feel like you're in the Caribbean. That the connection to everything, the family, the culture, everything you could think of, and give you a story that is memorable,
Mm-hmm.
and give you a story that makes you think beyond the pages. And I love that. So kudos to her. She did an
Mm-hmm.
awesome job
Mm-hmm.
with this book, and it's
Yeah.
definitely one of my. I mean, we've been hitting it with, really good
Mm-hmm.
with these Caribathon books, because this was really good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Very different from the other books, very different. But nevertheless, a Haitian writer. But I have a soft spot for Haitian writers. They always entertain me. I've yet to meet one that didn't.
You're right. You're right. And this one is blurred by Edwidge Danticat, and I was like,
There
with
you go. She.
Edwidge,
Oh no. She's a beast.
Says to read it. I'm just
Yeah, she's a beast.
Edward
Yeah,
says so.
yeah, she's an amazing Haitian writer as well. She's really good. So let me know what you guys all you guys that read this, how did you feel? What was your rating overall for this book?
And if you didn't rate it 5 stars, just don't share.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I don't necessarily. I didn't give it a 5. I gave it a 4. It's a very strong 4.
What? No.
Yeah.
So, I was watching.
I don't know why I didn't feel it. It's but then
why?
it's one of those books that I'm still gonna be thinking about it. Like, why would I not give it a 5?
Exactly. So
but
one thing about
I love it. But maybe because you know why? Because I'm comparing it to the other book I read from her.
No, that's not fair. That's not fair.
What Storm Was Thunder, was an absolute 5-star. One of my favorite books last year. And I love this, but I don't know if I would say it. It's not fair to put them on the same level. But because that was a massive.
They're different stories.
They're different stories.
And that was an explosive story, and this is a more subdued story. But it doesn't make it any less impactful. So I was reading a meme or something yesterday where someone said, a 5-star book for me is any book that makes me feel, makes me think, makes me cry. If I'm still, if I'm recommending it to you, then it's a 5-star, because otherwise, why would I tell you to read it? So yeah. When it comes to something about me, when we have book club, I'm always pressuring the book club members to give the book a 5-star rating.
Yeah,
no, we love it.
No, it's I really loved it. It's definitely one of my favorite books this year, where I feel like I will love. But this Caribathon was good for me. I mean, when I tell you the books that I got through, this book,
The Island of Forgetting. Yes.
This book.
This book.
I am still not okay after reading this book. Okay.
It's a standout. I love the Greek mythology.
Absolutely fantastic. I don't know why it took so long to read this book. So this is a book that I say, get on it.
Yeah.
Get on it and read this book. This book was just like absolutely amazing. I'm so glad I was able to read this month. This book surprised me, but in a creative way. But this is one of the books that I feel like is going to have the mix, because people are going to want more. But I thought the creative writing is good. And it's something about the writing, the storytelling in this is different. And this was like absolutely like, I think if you want to get out the box of not reading the same kind of book, this is family drama. I do feel like she needs a spin-off, because the sister in this need her own story. And this also goes back to
or a novel.
Huh?
Is it a novel or a short story?
Yes, it's a novel. The cover is terrible, but it's a novel. It is a debut. And it's a Jamaican family, and it follows a mother, a family where the mother had sickle cell. She passed away. The father just can't deal with it, so he uprooted the whole family and went to Texas. And you have a sister in this, so she's 16, and she did not want to leave Jamaica. And when she got of age, she went back home and just decided she'd never returning. Now the little boy now, because 3 of them, he now also has sickle cell. He passed away, so that left the other sister now who decided that she's going to go home. The problem is she's queer, and she looked queer, and she went back to Jamaica thinking she can live the queer life. And got a rude awakening. But it's more than that. It's more of her wanting to grieve in a way that she's felt loved by her family. Her father is just brutal at times, like no emotion. And her sister is more like the Christian. She going to church. She going to baptize her. She going to do the most. And she's struggling with it. But it's just religion in this is done in a way that can be shocking, but also beautiful. There's moments in this where it's like, whoa. And then there's moments where I'm like, yeah, but it's different. It is very raw, but it's very creative writing. I think this is one of the books that you're going to either love it or you're going to hate it for whatever reason. But it's just creative writing. She did an amazing job with this one. And then of course, I'm proud of the books. I'm proud of the books that I got through Caribathon. So I did these, and I did, of course, 2 romance. How many books did you get through?
I'll tell you later. I have a couple of books that I'm hoping to finish before the end of the day.
Before the end. I think I'm gonna be honest. I am not picking up no more books for the day. I'm okay with my 5. I'm okay with my 5.
Yeah.
No, what am I saying? 6. No,
Yeah.
I did a short collection. It's 6 books.
Yeah.
I also
watching-
read
I'm
Sweet
watching you
Sweet as Sugar.
on Instagram.
It's a short story collection.
Yes.
That was amazing as well. Which I talked about. Yeah, that was I left that downstairs. But that short story collection surprised me too. Completely surprised me. I don't know if you read it. I didn't even expect that. It's a good one.
I haven't seen those, the Autopsy and the other one that you mentioned.
Yeah, Swedish show been out since last year, and this is a Trini author. And it's a really good short story collection. It really it went there. She at one point I was like, no, she didn't. She discussed the the little issues Trini and Jamaicans that was a good short story collection as well. So, if you guys want a short story collection, pick that one up. That one is also have a mix of, ghosts and poverty and, internet, immigration story as well as mixed up into that one. So that's a good short story collection. So I did 6. Yeah, 6 books. I finished, which is average for every Caribathon. It's about the same.
Wow. No, well, this time you had 2 weeks.
Yeah, I had 2 weeks. I also had a few days off. I had like 5 days off.
Like you read a lot.
So I had time to just relax and just read.
Yeah, I have been having just the busiest.
Yeah.
The busiest.
Yeah, it had some busy moments, but I think I because I look forward to this time of the year to like get Caribbean on my list. Because I sprinkle them throughout the year, but I get a bulk of my Caribbean reads in June.
Yeah. I've been reading some really great books, really great Caribbean books. We have the book club, and we have not had a book club discussion in a little while, but we've been reading.
What book are you guys reading for the book club?
So this month it's Texaco by Patrick.
Oh yeah, I've read 2 other books. I couldn't find a print of that last year. How did you find a print copy?
I had to buy a used one on Amazon.
That's what I thought. I could not find last year when I did the research and I wanted some classic. I did find one. I do have one on my TBR, but I couldn't find that particular title at all.
Yeah,
in print.
I had to get a used one, which is fine. But I could not find like a library copy or anywhere. So
yeah, that's so sad. I mean, that's another thing that used to discourage me when I want to read classic, because this year I did not read any classic. None of the books are classic, and I always try to read one classic Caribbean book. I didn't get any this year, but it's just discouraging because oftentimes I try to do research, they're out of print, or if they do have them, you probably waiting a whole month before you even get them. And it's sad that a lot of these great classic Caribbean books are not available.
The Penguin imprint is doing some of those older titles, which it has me a little optimistic. Like, they reprinted the Samuel Selvin books, so those are available.
Yeah.
The Samuel Selvin, Housing Lark, and
but those been available since Caribathon. Those have never been an issue to find.
Yes.
But they need to redo some Claude McCain, because there's 2 books I'm struggling to read because my eyes is just not. I hate the print, the font is terrible, and I just like start reading and I'm like, okay,
yeah, that could be hard. But they have Penguin has a new Claude McKay out. I forget the title.
Which one?
They have one that's out.
I think look
last year or early.
If they have I want the banana bottom.
Banana
bottom. Bottom. Sorry.
Bottom. Yeah, banana bottom.
And and banjo.
I don't.
I want those 2 reprinted like immediately.
I don't think it's that one. And then Penguin Random House just reprinted Karen Lord Redemption in Indigo.
Mm.
They sent me a
Ooh.
copy. I didn't get a chance to read it yet, but I'm going to be reading it this week, so I'll tell you about it. It's a beautiful cover. When I get home, I gotta leave a
Who's the
copy.
author for that one again?
Karen Lord,
Okay.
Trinidadian, I think, or Barbadian.
Okay.
No, I think she's Bayesian writer. So yeah,
Yeah, I
lots
got that on the list this year.
of
Ooh,
Caribbean
finally.
books, a lot of Caribbean books to check
Yes.
out, and some of them you might have to do a little digging before you'll find them because not all the books are at the library, not all of them
Yep.
are just like available at the bookstore. Some of them
Yep.
you're gonna have to do a little digging
Yeah.
to get a
I
copy.
every so often I find a bookstore in New York that will have them. Um but it's like one copy.
Oh dear. And then you wonder if you buy it, what happens to the next person? You want to
Yep.
encourage other people to read Caribbean and
Yep.
you buy the one copy and then nobody can get can get it to read. Yeah. Dee says I need to get back to The Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord. I was liking it before I had to return to the library. Yeah, I don't think I've read anything by her before. So I'm looking forward to picking up more of these books, and I'll tell you
My
about.
library sucks. Oh God. My library is
Don't
terrible. That's
you?
why I don't. You notice I never do a library haul here.
So I reserve things. I reserve things online and then just pick them up at my local library. Because yeah,
They're terrible.
my my local library has some, but a lot of times it's the same authors. Like Edwidge Danticat, she's there. Maurice
Mm-hmm.
Conde, she's there. Ibiza Boy, she's there in a lot of
Yep.
the YA section. You'll even find one or two of Nicola Yoon's books, not the
Yeah.
usual, not the more
Here was none.
one. But
Absolutely none.
and you know what? I got this Caribathon. We got a lot of picture books for my daughter. She's been reading Caribbean.
Nice.
My daughter did a whole Caribbean reading, so we're gonna be sharing that. We just the last few weeks. I apologize. They've been so busy.
It's okay.
Like
I was trying to get back my health back.
yeah, but we
I
found a
was
lot of
struggling health wise.
yeah. You look good.
Yeah, yeah, I was not doing good last week, and
Oh,
my energy was so bad. So all I did was lay up in the bed and read.
okay.
Like
Well,
I didn't get to do any of the other stuff I normally do. But I feel so much better now. I have so much more
good.
energy, and sometimes you have to step back and take care of yourself. And I wasn't doing that. I was going on the like go 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 go, and then my body said nope, and so I'm much better. Feel much better now.
I'm gonna screenshot this. I'm gonna screenshot this. Sorry, that's what I'm doing.
Hmm.
These talking about the book by Karen Lord.
Hmm.
Says it's very sci-fi and heavy anthropology themes. That is The Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord. I'm gonna read this one first that the publisher sent me, and then maybe add everything
Yeah.
else.
I'm gonna look her up and just see what
Yeah.
she has and what I might want to read. Because again, this author is new to me, but let me not say that because I don't know. I still got Caribbean books I haven't read on my bookshelf, so let me make
Yeah.
sure I really don't have nothing from her.
Yeah. It's been wonderful. The last 5 years of Caribathon, and not just the week or weeks of Caribathon, but reading Caribbean all through the year, like being intentional about looking for Caribbean books. It's been fantastic, like rediscovering your culture as it is depicted in books. Because every part of the Caribbean is different. You read a
Yep.
book by a Jamaican author doesn't mean that that's all that Jamaica has to offer, but it is a representation of some experience in Jamaica. But then it also doesn't tell you what life is like in Trinidad or
Hmm.
Dominica. So it's been a fantastic adventure. finding a different Caribbean book, a different Caribbean author every month as we do for book club. So I'm going to share the list on my Instagram later, where you'll see the books that we've been reading this year, and you could pick them up and listen. I'm
Yeah.
always up for a book discussion. So you read the book, you want to chat with me, I would love it. Would love to hear how you're finding this book. Like, we read The Island of Forgetting by Jasmine Seeley. We read that a couple of months ago, maybe 3 months ago,
Hmm.
and I loved it. It was
Yes,
different from
absolutely.
anything I have read from a Caribbean author.
Yep.
Because
Like, she took you out of like where you're thinking, what am I reading? But in such a
yeah,
good way.
yeah, and it's just like every month, intentionally picking up a Caribbean book, a Caribbean author, is just kind of centering this focus on, okay, I'm not just reading the same books or the same type of books all the time.
Hmm.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm
And
immersing
oh,
my
thanks you guys. Yeah, I agree. I gotta take care of myself. Thank you.
yeah. Nalo Hopkinson is another one
Yeah.
we read.
I've not read anything from her in years because
Yeah.
that's a genre I don't read a lot of.
Same, but I feel like when you sometimes when I go out of my general comfort zone with reading, I'm always pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, that's true.
um there aren't a lot of I feel like there aren't that many Black sci-fi writers, just in general,
Hmm.
even less Caribbean
Hmm.
sci-fi writers. But the ones that I have read recently, I have loved, like what's the guy, Turnbull from British Virgin Islands? What was his name? He wrote this book, The Lesson. Cadwell Turnbull is his name. Um,
Okay.
read this
No,
book.
I heard of him, but I've not read that one.
Oh man, we read that for book club maybe a couple of years ago. That was amazing. um, and Nala Hopkinson, same. I have lots of recommendations. We could come back to this another
Hmm.
time. I'm home. I can pull out my piles. But yeah, Nala Hopkinson, interesting, really
Yeah.
interesting. So yeah, The Lesson. Yeah, Dee said she's read The Lesson and that was good. I haven't read his more recent book. I think No Gods, No Monsters. Is that what it's called? I haven't read it yet.
Question D. I know you write. What genre do you write?
I didn't know Dee was a writer.
Yeah.
Any books available for us to check out? Okay, sci-fi and fantasy. that that explains why you are up on these
Yeah.
authors: Nala Hopkinson, Karen Lord, Cadwell Turnbull. All right, I see you, Dee. Do you have anything that we can check out? Any books available on Amazon um, or the library or someplace on your website? Let us know. We have to normalize promoting our own stuff, because yeah, the same. Maybe
Yeah,
me.
yeah, Karen. What happened? You were published. What happened, Karen? You had that one published.
Oh my. Next Caribathon, I will have a book that we could discuss.
Okay.
Hold me accountable. You have to make time. You have to make time to do it. I was watching this lady talk about writing a few days ago. I was watching her. She was talking about she was writing a nonfiction book, and she said she set
Yes,
aside
Dee. She has
minutes.
one book out.
She said she set
Yeah, go
aside
ahead and
every day to
Karen,
write.
write it in the comment section so she can see it.
So I published a collection of short stories. It's called It's Complicated. It's complicated. Short stories about long relationships. And it is on Amazon. You could read it as an ebook. Um, I published it about 7 years ago, and I haven't published anything since. I have a lot of drafts that need to be refined. I used to do NaNoWriMo, and the last couple of years I've tried. I have not finished the
Don't be like
project.
me with a stockpile back here of
Oh,
NaNoWriMo projects.
oh, you know,
I think I got 5 or 6 still in draft mode.
But I went to Jamaica. I went to Jamaica in April, and there's a story. There's a story that I've been wanting to tell my whole life,
Tell
and
it.
it reminded me. It being in Jamaica kind of energized me. I just haven't found the time to do it yet, but I
It
will.
does, yeah.
I will. I will. I will write it. I will write it. Next year, next Caribathon, you'll have a book from Karen Run Right Reads. You could add to your TBR.
And I'm gonna remind you, every so often I'll pop in there and say, hey, how's that writing?
Please. There are these writers groups on social media you could join and
Yeah, you
get
should.
inspiration every day. But I haven't done anything about it. But yeah, let's all do it. Dee, Peter, and Karen. We will come back to it. It's been wonderful chatting with you guys. I could
Yes.
stay here all day.
I know, right? But yes,
Had a
thank
whole-
you so much for joining us.
Can you take a screenshot?
Hold on.
No, let me see right here. Okay, there we go. There we go.
Hold on. I'll use a snip on this because all right, here we go. Why is mine Oh, here we go. We have to try this again. It literally, you smiling and my face looking all mad. Let's try another one. All right, there we go.
There we go.
All
This
right.
was fun. Caribathon is one of my best times of the year. It just happened to coincide with one of my busiest times of the year this year. But I tell you, I read Caribbean books all year. I am always finding something to read. And I think with the book club, number one, the book club keeps me intentional, but also like I feel like it attracts all these other recommendations. People are always telling me about Caribbean books, and there are a lot of authors who are self-published, and some self-published books could use some editing, but the stories
Oh,
that
good. Yes,
are
yes, I
like
agree.
they're so powerful. Like a lot of these are stories that you could tell they have been inside a person just waiting to come out, and sometimes ignore anything.
Yeah, every now and then, yeah.
You just gotta check them out. So I have some really good indie recommendations. I gotta put together a video. But yeah, let's continue to share the recommendations as we find them. Let's continue to promote Caribbean literature, because there are people who need to hear about these stories. There are a lot of people who their experience of the Caribbean is Jamaican food and Trinidadian music, and that's it. And one Caribbean author that they may have heard of, Marlon James or Maurice Conde or Edwidge Danticat, and they don't know anybody else. So we have to just keep promoting all the books that we have read and loved, and let other people know about them. So
yeah, and don't forget, guys, to hit the like button on this video, so more people can see it. You know how YouTube are. YouTube.
Yeah. I promise I will make a recommendation video tomorrow. When my daughter goes to school, I will make a video with some Caribbean recommendations. I'll do a wrap up of the books that I have finished during Caribathon, but I'll also make a video with some of my recommendations. It might be long because I got a lot of recommendations, but maybe I'll start a little series.
I did a few shorts, not a lot.
Yeah.
But I have videos, so I think I'm just gonna make sure I put my playlist. There is a Caribbean playlist,
yes,
on my channel, So if you go, you see Caribbean books. I'm gonna add more because there's some that I didn't put in the playlist, but the playlist has a good bit you can find.
And I like that you have yours in genres because, like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of Caribbean romance. That's a genre that
It's
I.
not a lot out there, to be honest, but they're out there, but not a lot.
Why is that?
I don't
think we
know.
might need a
I
whole
think
different
Caribbean
conversation.
writers are just so they want to write literary and not a lot. And come on, you're in paradise. Like,
What? Don't we have
gotta be some
romance?
romance.
We might need a different conversation.
I know, right?
But yeah. So definitely share those videos as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the rest
Thank
of
you
the
so much,
day.
guys.
Enjoy the rest of Caribathon. See you for Caribathon next year. But let's chat between now and then. So have a great evening. Peter, thank you so much for doing
You're
this.
welcome. Don't hang up.
Okay.
But we're just gonna end this. But thanks, you guys. It was
Thank
another
you.
beautiful
Thank you,
Caribathon discussion. And yes, go tell everybody to go get this book. It is worth reading. It's very
5
good.
stars. Tell them I said 5 stars. I'm sorry, I can't help it. I got to pressure.
All right, guys. I'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.